Renee Good's murder by out-of-control ICE agent Jonathan Ross in Minneapolis is prompting so many people to resist fascism, to rise up, to take action for the first time since Donald Trump got elected. I am flooded with comments, especially on YouTube and Facebook, from people, but also on TikTok, from people who are like, how do I get, I'm ready to do the thing. Like this is a bridge too far for me. This is unacceptable. I need to do something. I need to start somewhere, but I don't know where to go, and I don't know what first actions to take. A couple of different bases we got to cover here. Number one is that people who want to do something, they earnestly, right, their sense of justice is activated, and they're like, I got to do something. They'll just show up at a protest. And maybe it's the ICE facility in Portland, maybe it's at the protests in Minneapolis, maybe it's in Illinois, especially where ICE is engaged in just absolutely inhumane, cruel, brutal acts. People want to stand in opposition. They don't want to allow what is being done by the regime to innocent people to go unanswered and unwitnessed. If you want to show up and protest and you are not connected to a grassroots group and you are not experienced at the kind of protests that are happening right now, where ICE is incredibly dysregulated, escalated, they feel empowered to brutalize you and violate your rights, please don't go alone. Like, just please don't. We have this saying here, who keeps us safe? We keep us safe. We don't go anywhere alone. We take a buddy. We prioritize safety for each other because the regime is intent on making us as unsafe as possible. It's up to us. It's up to us to look out for each other. And we don't go alone. We build affinity groups, and at the very least, we go with a buddy. We have a partner. And so if you just feel your conscience is prompting you to go and show up at these protests, I really encourage you to reach out and get connected to one of your local groups, Indivisible, Surge, that stand up for racial justice, 5051, whatever your local immigrants' rights groups are, what your local DSA, whoever your local organizing groups are, just spend a little bit of time online and look up, hey, who's mobilizing right now? Who is engaged in this kind of justice work, in this kind of resistance work? And how do I get plugged in? Get plugged in. The way we do this is not as individuals. We do it by coming together and aggregating our power. We have our strength together. And part of that is that we look out for each other, especially right now. Don't go alone. Have your lawyer's number or the National Lawyers Guild number written on your arm. Somebody needs to know where you're going. You want somebody there with you who can be filming. If ICE comes after you, you want a partner to be filming. You want a partner to be calling for your attorney, calling your family, helping you out, having your back. We don't do anything alone. And so while I appreciate this question, what's the best group to align with? I think it doesn't matter as much what the group is. It matters more that you get involved with other people. It's all about community. We are organizing together. And different groups are going to meet different needs. They're going to have different areas that they focus on, different demographics of people that they serve. And my Indivisible chapter, I will talk up the praises of my Indivisible chapter and our leadership. We are a very low drama group, and we have each other's backs. Like, I love my group, but I understand that there are thousands of Indivisible chapters, and they may not be the same in every location. So I talk up Indivisible because I very much appreciate the co-founders, Ezra and Leah, and their politics align a lot with mine, and their positions right now align with mine, but also because my local group is just fucking fantastic, right? But your group where you are, Indivisible, may not be the thing. There may be drama. There may be some kind of dysfunctionality, because in grassroots organizing, there's always going to be some level of that, right? And maybe where you are, it's 5051 or No Kings or Big Tent USA or your local DSA chapter, or maybe it's your like local Democrats group, even Moms Against Fascism, like whoever it is. It matters more that you get plugged in, you build those relationships, and you have each other's backs. I do have to say, one thing when you're looking at groups is tactics matter, right? So Indivisible has a complete commitment to nonviolence. And some groups have a commitment to nonviolence, but also a commitment to no civil disobedience. And that may not be a thing that you're up for. Or maybe another group is like low key, okay, with smashing shit, like vandalism. And because there's an argument about whether or not like destroying property is actually violence. I don't personally think destruction of property is violence, but I'm also committed to not smashing shit. Like that's not a tactic that I'm interested in engaging in. So if I see another group of people that are organizing and we might have the same shared belief of like, hey, we want to stop fascism and we want to restore a stable government, we want the rule of law in this country, but I know that they're going to go use tactics that are not something I'm down to engage with, and I don't want to be there when I don't consent to being part of a group that is carrying out actions like vandalism, then that's not the group for me, right? We can still be in solidarity in terms of like we have a shared goal, restoring the rule of law, right? Upholding human rights. But that's not the group for me because their tactics are not ones that I'm going to agree with, and I want to make sure that I'm consenting to actions that fall within my my risk threshold, right? Fall below my risk threshold. So I think that is another helpful thing to orient around is what kind of actions are your local groups taking? And I think it's fair to ask, hey, what's your position around civil disobedience? What's your safety team look like? Do y'all have medics at your events? What kinds of actions have y'all undertaken in the past, and what hiccups have you had? It's totally fair to ask those questions. I just think it's important that you find a group and get plugged in. And if that group, like after a couple of meetings, is not the one for you, it's okay to shift and find another one. But don't go alone. Don't go alone right now. At any time. There's no point at which going by yourself is going to be the safest and most effective action. In fact, when you go by yourself, you often put other people at risk because they're having to come and try and like rescue you or try and protect you, and they haven't anticipated for that. That's why forming affinity groups is so important. Maybe y'all want to form a book club. Maybe your Indivisible chapter is really big and you want to form smaller affinity groups within there. Maybe it's people right in your neighborhood, right? Maybe you decide to form a neighborhood ice watch group. And these are people who live within walking distance of your house. That's your affinity group. That's who you organize with. That's whose backs you are having, right? That's who is there to call your lawyer. And that's who's there to make sure that your rent gets paid if you end up in jail. I think this level of organizing is a lot for a lot of people. I'm so grateful to my Indivisible group and our leadership because we have people who have decades and decades of pretty intensive activism work, and some of them have kind of long rap sheets because they've done a lot of civil disobedience, right? They have been willing to get arrested. I said in a video earlier that I don't want to hear people talking about peaceful protest. It's not peaceful. Non-violent protest is disruptive. It needs to disrupt the system of oppression, and that means people get arrested, right? So folks who have a lot of experience in non-violent resistance work, they're going to have an arrest record. For like 8, 9, 10 months, our group has been talking about scenarios that we knew were not appropriate back here when we were all going to a Saturday hands-off protest and bring your dog, bring your little kids. We were saying, okay, this is what it looks like right now. We anticipate the progression because people have all of this experience, this wealth of experience. We anticipate in a year, we're going to have to be strategizing differently. It sounds scary way back here, but we need to think about bail funds. We need to think about stop the bleed kits, having everybody trained on first aid. We need to think about having legal observers at everything. We need to be planning for our rallies and protests. Like our safety team needs to have evacuation routes. We need to plan for violent counter protesters. That seemed like almost fantastical 8, 9, 10 months ago. And now we're living it, right? And I'm so, so grateful that I have had the opportunity to organize with and learn, like sit at the feet of and learn from people who have such a tremendous wealth of experience and knew they saw all of this as being a possible outcome if we didn't stop this much earlier, that this is the progression. And so, hey, we need to be preparing. So finding people who have that lived experience in the women's rights movement, in the ACT UP AIDS movement, civil rights experience, also immigrants who have done resistance work in other countries, y'all, who have like their old hat at this, and this is the first time we've had to fight fascism. There are so many immigrants who bring just a tremendous wealth of resources, lived experience, tactics, strategy. And for me, it's that we need to have each other's backs, and that's why we organize together. But also, this is how we build power and strength through knowledge and through getting organized and making sure that we strategize carefully in a way that, as best as we can, prioritizes the safety of everybody in our group. Because who keeps us safe? We keep us safe. The government sure as fuck isn't going to do it. It's up to us. It's up to us to have each other's backs. And we can build each other up with skills and strategies, with tactics, with knowledge, so that we can be more disruptive and more effective. So it's not an individual group, it is the mindset, it is the community that matters. But don't go alone. Organize. We have our power together, right? We have our strength together. So find those folks where you are. Indivisible may be the group for you and it may not be. Find out who is working and moving where you are and get plugged in.